How's your day been?
Yeah, right. Busy, but you get there.
That's right. Fucking. Well, I'm happy you're chilling now.
Yeah, why not? Something to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Still on the Terraria grind then?
I was kind of thinking about switching it up, but
Fair
not
enough.
particular sure yet. I'm kind of
I'm
enjoying
sure
it,
you find something.
you know. But this isn't terrible. I'll say that. This is still pretty fun to me.
Yeah, I know it's an interesting game with a lot of depth.
Yeah, there's definitely more to do. This difficulty is different too overall. Like I really need to just kind of grind the farming of good ore. I mean, at least get like gold consistently for a while so I can get a good set of armor.
Mhm.
But I am at the point where we're supposed to be able to get um, the hell stuff harvested anyway. But it would realistically be easier if I just had better armor. I think I'm wearing basically the equivalent of like iron, like one tier from the shittiest. So I think gold's a good idea. I need gold, I
Yeah,
need better
those
armor.
games have a lot of grinding to them. But
Yeah,
I think it's part of the gameplay loop, you know.
yeah. I just argue that this one is one of the more chill variants of that though. Like it's almost like playing a free
I don't
roam
disagree.
like RPG or something, because you really could just do anything and preoccupy your time, you know? You don't gotta focus. I keep doing little shit to the castle house thing I'm making. It's cool. But yeah. Yeah. What's up, person? So yeah. How's how's stuff been overall? Have you been chilling really? Been good, Mr. Julius?
Yeah, been pretty good.
Good.
I bounce around and debate. I've just been kind of busy today. Usually I just bounce around when I've got free time and debate. Just when I don't really have a specific topic, I just wait for someone to say something really dumb and then I stop thinking at it.
I respect that. I genuinely do.
What's that?
The calling out and in general and the enjoyment from it even, you know?
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's because like there's like if someone's like, oh, I want to talk about this, I'll do it. But because I don't have any like specific ideas I'm like super strong about advocating for, because ultimately I already live in a society that I'm pretty happy with. Like there's something, you know, so many people get on here and act like it's life or death that they have to advocate for their system.
Real. That's
I'm like,
definitely part of the
if you want
fun.
to make real political change, get off Discord.
Accurate. Hella
Go
accurate.
join something, do something in real life.
Yeah, sitting here complaining on this doesn't actually do anything. Super solid.
Yeah, it's essentially like, but I really enjoy it because it's really fun and interesting to exercise your mind essentially, and you can't really have unless you're like pretty close with the person, you can't do like in-depth debatey stuff in real life because it's usually pretty unpleasant to people.
That's fair. Most people aren't intelligent
Like
enough to see why it's pleasant to begin with, so I totally agree with that.
it's not even that, it's like because people just most people most want to chill. People don't like being like it's really uncomfortable to have like your fundamental like worldview questioned, that kind of thing. Like so
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think a
it
lot.
is genuinely unpleasant. So yeah.
Well, you know what I'm saying? I disagree. I think the same way you said the the exercising of the mind, I feel like is a real good stressor there, but I think a lot of people just let their ego get in the way of like realizing when they're wrong is supposed to benefit them, right? So both of those
Yeah, but then the
reasons,
ego reacts to protects itself with anger. Like
yeah,
that's what defense mechanisms are, and
right.
that's the problem is that we really don't like when like this is the problem. Like, and part of that problem is if someone like challenges your like fundamental worldview of everything. Like I don't know, like it's like when Christians want to debate and stuff like that. It's like okay, like let's just say I give a good argument to why you shouldn't be Christian, for example. what are you gonna do? Stop being a Christian? Like I've now like broken your entire like view of the world, and that's why they get so mad about it, right? And they're so desperate to convince like atheists because us atheists existing is just like a fundamental challenge to like their thing being true, and it has to be true for them. So that's why
Yeah.
they get so upset about it. As they can't just like let other all religious people do this. They can't just let other people chill. Some atheists even do this, right?
Yeah.
Because if yeah, if because if they could be wrong, like everything falls apart for them.
Yep.
But it shouldn't be that way.
Definitely shouldn't. Agree with all that. All that. Agree with all of it.
Yeah, but I think that this also comes with age. You just like care a lot less when you get older.
It's fair too. That's how I assume the
Because
person's
I think
young.
we're similar ages. So you were 32, I think, if I remember.
Say again? Oh, my age? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think you said you were 32. Yeah, so we're similar age.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if I care anymore.
You just you're like, I don't care about this shit.
Right.
Because like at the end of the day, like what does it do? Like how much does it help you? You're more interested in like getting through like a day-to-day thing or getting through like some other set of like problems, right?
Right.
In your life, yeah. I think it's just what it comes down to.
Yeah. This is accurate, bro. This is accurate. How much do you really care? Why?
Why is this the hill you're dying on?
Why is the ecosystem dying? What'd you say?
No, I said why is this like the hill that these people choose to die on?
Oh, why is it?
Like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right.
yeah. Anyway, jumping kind of back to the gaming thing for a second. Something I do like is the I don't know, kind of like city builder things. Like I don't know, there are like a bunch of games I do like to play to relax. To just chill out as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you can definitely see how Terraria falls into that
Yeah, that was hell.
because even though it's multiplayer, it's like it's not a PvP game really.
Yeah, no.
And you even PvP in it? I don't know.
Yeah, you can. You could fight each other. I actually had a
Okay, I
whole
didn't know that.
thought. I thought I told you about this, where we could do a like an arena we set up, and then come in with like all of the same gear, or even all of the same gear, and one of us chooses the weapon maybe or something, right? And then
Mhm.
you say you've got like three or four of us in here, or five people all playing together in one world. You could have like the winner of that free for all pick what everybody else has to do for like 15 or 20 minutes and be it all like progression towards the base, not like just go stand in this box, obviously. But like we split up the progression by like a forced
Right,
thing, and
right.
you have to tuck your tail and go do it because you lost the fight. Like I thought that would be entertaining to watch too, probably, right?
Yeah,
Or
if you
like
get like a bunch of people dedicated to playing the game, that could work.
yeah, and then you could even
I
do
saw
other
similar.
stuff too
Yeah.
with like 1v1s too. Like you could add elements to this, like say you don't do the winning thing, but everyone kind of fights for a job, and then you could even fight again for a set period of time, right? And you could re-fight for your job, or but you only get the one challenge or something. So there's stipulations so it doesn't go on forever. But like, you could re-challenge essentially, and even for to steal someone's job or whatever. Like there could be an easily way to orchestrate that whole thing and make it entertaining as hell.
Mm. Yeah, possible. Um,
Yeah, I don't know, something.
makes me think of because I don't really play these games, but like I played a very small amount of Terraria and Minecraft, which are kind of similar, but obviously quite different. But I do know there is PvP scenes for at least Minecraft.
Yeah,
But yeah,
no,
so like it can work.
there's all kinds of modded servers on here too, where you really could just go embrace PvP, because these armors and stuff actually do get to like a set bonus kind of level, and the amount of in-depth in their combat with this game is ridiculous, actually.
Oh, actually, wait, sorry, just just reminds me. Have you ever seen the Minecraft PvP stuff? Because I hadn't until quite recently.
Um, I've seen some, but I know they have like Bed Wars, and it's basically like Roblox. Like they don't really have a limit because they're just keep embracing mods, and the game's still popular. So what I've gathered is
Yeah,
that
this
people are
is
just able to do anything. They've got games where like the only way you can murk people is by like making them fall off a cliff, essentially. Like,
Well,
Like
yeah,
they do
yeah,
everything.
yeah. Like there's actual straight up fighting, right? But yeah, I saw this interesting thing where this dude was playing in this thing called like it was like a server called Hoplite or something like that, where it would start where they're kind of like all running around in this, and then at the end they have like a death match, like after a certain amount of time, where it becomes like a they're all chucked into this little battle royale arena at the end of it, and they have to fight out with like, what gear they've got.
Like
But
Hunger
you're right,
Games.
is that at the start it was as much as it was about the mechanics of actually fighting each other, it was about creating these complex traps where you could like bait people into them and get them killed by the trap.
Yeah,
Which I actually thought was a really inventive way to PvP.
yeah, no, that's genius. I agree.
Like, and some of the traps they're creating are so extreme and elaborate. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of really, it's different, a different way of looking at like PvP, I guess.
I've totally seen some of the videos for that specifically too. Yes.
Yeah.
There's a bunch though. There's so many different ways that they're doing everything on that game still, realistically. It's ridiculous.
And that's what I like. I like those kind of things where you have because I actually play a lot of in real life games as well. You know, like board games and social deduction games and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Um, but there's this one that came in Australia. Are you familiar with social deduction games?
No.
So kind of imagine like a more complex version of something like Among Us, as dumb as that sounds, but in real life, right?
Really? Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so the way it works is there's a big Australian game. It's like the premier game of this world, where there'll be like, let's just say on average, there'll be like 12 people playing and someone's actually running the game, so the whole game runs smoothly and stuff. And the way it works is that game runs in like a day-night cycle. During the day, like people go off and talk to each other and exchange information because everyone's got like a different power. Everyone does like a different role, and it just like out of 12 people, there'll be like 3 evil players and like 9 good players. And you exchange information and try and like use your abilities and try and work out whether you can trust each other. And then you like vote to execute someone during the day, and then at the night the evil team gets to act and like do evil stuff at night, like pick a person to die. And it's really interesting, like going through and trying to work out. It's just like a really interesting mental exercise. But what makes it really interesting is not just the game itself. The fact is the game is like endlessly customizable because the devs have openly supported, like even though it's like just like a paper game, they've openly supported like creative roles and people modifying their game, right, and creating experimental roles and characters.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that the game is like endlessly customizable.
It's like a real life mod. That's wild.
Yeah, it's like real life modding essentially, and it's actually become like incredibly popular. Like there's like a server for it on Discord which you can play on that has like, you know, like 20, 30 plus thousand people on it, I think. And they've started having like conventions for the game in real life because it's popular enough.
Wow.
I don't know, like
Well, Among Us
yeah, it's
was
funny.
one of the most
Yeah.
just unrealistic things to see become as popular as it did. Like it was a lot
What
like
was that?
Minecraft's phenomenon, Among Us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't have ever thought Minecraft would have done what it was at first glance. I mean, I still don't really believe it,
But I
right?
think the basic mechanic of what like Among Us, it's like, and people are like haha messing around with it, but then did you ever see the clips of a guy called Disguised Toast playing the game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm drinking. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, he was incredibly analytical about it, and it was really interesting to watch him like break down exactly like work out who people are or conceal because he's because of how analytical he was.
Yeah.
And it was really I think it's really cool that the game can just be like a bunch of dumb kids running around, or it can be played at like I'm gonna Sherlock Holmes this like fucking thing.
Right. No, I feel that. I can
Right.
respect it even too. It's not like a joke. That's
Yeah.
very, very intelligent, very cool, honestly.
Yeah, and like
I love
it
Sherlock
was
Holmes.
crazy how he would work all this stuff out.
Yeah.
He would like work out where everyone is, what they were doing at the time, like, and then and be like, okay, like this person's the killer for this reason.
Yeah.
It's like, how the fuck do you know that, dude?
Oh. You just break it down hella quick and just make it like simplistic even.
Yeah.
Yep. I saw a couple videos of it back in the day because he was like really popular when the game first dropped. He was just
Yeah,
dumb.
he was.
Yep. Oh, need to make some coffee.
But
real
yeah, I've
quick.
definitely enjoyed but that's why I like enjoyed that other one more because it's like that, but it's like more so if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, it's physical now too. It's like in your face and real people and better
Yeah.
connection. We need more of
And
that in
it's
general.
really interesting trying to like socially read whether someone's like lying to you in real life. It's like a really interesting phenomenon as well.
Right.
Like, are you lying to me?
Yeah, because I mean,
Right.
especially when you think about like, I mean, I feel like this correlates kind of well, at least. Like when people are being disingenuous, and you can kind of spot it kind of easy
Yeah.
nowadays, at least with minimum like distraction is I think the simplest
Oh,
one to spot, right? Like if I'm sitting here on my phone and talking to you, there's like a whole tonal difference, let alone attitude or
yeah,
response or
but
whatever, right?
problem is these when you play with people that play this game a lot, they get good at lying.
Yeah,
You people get
yeah,
lying becomes gamified, and it's crazy. Watch and we'll do stuff like because there's a group I play with in real life. A lot we'll do stuff like we'll modify how we'll play. We'll intentionally like
make it
one
more,
guy plays it, so he's intentionally incredibly suspect person. So
yeah,
even when he's good, we think he's evil
right,
because of how he socially reads and stuff like that. And some people just have like incredible poker like face abilities,
right.
and some people will be and yeah, the people play it all differently. Some people can't lie very well at all, but it's incredible watching humans like okay, I'm gonna perfect the skill of lying as a game. It's kind of scary as well
Yeah,
actually, but it's
right. That part,
entertaining.
that part's super real.
But fuck, if we want to lie, we're good at it.
Also true. I always said that too. If it came down to it, like if I had to lie, I'd be pretty bad. I'd be pretty good. I know I'd be pretty good.
i'm I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah. Like I can hear it in your voice, like the confidence right there when you said that. Like, I believe you.
Yeah, well, I'm probably not the best, but I'm like one of the better players. But that's also because I'm like good at the analytical side.
Hmm.
But then there's like three parts of the game. Like there's two parts to the game. It's one working out what the fuck happened, like building a coherent out of like out of because you're trying to like discover. It's like a Sherlock thing.
Deduction.
You're just trying to work out what the fuck happened. Like yeah, induction or abduction.
No,
Okay,
no,
like
deduction.
you know.
Deduction. That's what he does. That's what he says he does
The
at least
problem
in the
is,
movie.
it's always could be like multiple of possible worlds, and you have like that's what we say, and there's like no way to necessarily say like one is more correct than another. It's really frustrating.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of go with the most likely answer.
Yeah.
Um.
Yep.
Anyway, that being said, even if you work it out, you then have a secondary skill. You have to convince everyone to vote with you,
Right.
while the evil team is sitting there gaslighting everyone.
Right. No, I get Among Us, dude. I get it. I believe it
Yeah,
plays out
it's
just like
well,
that.
but playing it in real life is like it's such a different experience.
I only played for like an hour one time, and I fully grasped the concept. But really,
Yeah,
where it comes difficult, and I feel like where the annoyance and hopefully this doesn't fuck with you too much, but I'm sure you probably thought about it to some level. Said you're analytical, is when alliances form, regardless of the teams being assigned. And you got like
yeah,
four people gaslighting you, and you don't even realize it because it makes sense, or whatever outcome they can literally embellish in the moment.
yeah. Luckily, in real life, because like you're dealing with people in real life, people tend to be like pretty honest about that shit,
Yeah.
and so they won't just like team up with their friends and stuff.
Yeah. If this became
But
successful though, or you started to embrace more random scenarios, then it would be fucking a crazy annoyance or thought at least in the back of your head, right?
yeah,
Especially if it gained popularity and traction and you really did start to enjoy it more. Like I'm telling you, that would be one of my big pitfalls.
I get that.
The game's already hard enough, is my mentality. And then the ability to embrace new logics. Like we talked about the other day with the cheating shit, right? Like that's why it's so irritating to me. Game's already hard enough.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Already has all these problems, and people just.
And that's what
But
makes it
luckily,
fun.
most people are pretty online. But this is like a thing online, right? Where if people can do shitty things, they will do them
Yeah,
online. In
yeah.
real life, people don't because there are social repercussions.
And I hear that argument too.
Uh,
I get what you're saying there. That does make sense validly.
I mean, are you aware of a game called EVE Online at all?
Eve, yeah, EVE.
Eve, EVE, yeah.
Yeah,
I used to play that. Past tense.
I didn't. I had a friend who was pretty obsessed, so I've heard about it a lot. But
Yeah, okay. Well, then I'm not going to go into the details about the game as much as say that like people are incredibly shitty in that game.
yeah, dude.
Because the devs have allowed people to be incredibly shitty. Like it's all about like lying, cheating, like espionage. Like all these things are just like entirely normal in that game.
Yep.
Because the devs don't, and like there are entire groups that are just dedicated to making people cry. Or did your friend ever tell you what suicide ganking was?
Let's stay away from that word, but yes, I'm aware already.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay, yeah, but like, sorry, that's that's just like a game term. It's like they intentionally. Wait, did he tell you or?
Yeah, but you could explain it again. Go over it again because it was a
All
while
right. Well,
ago. But I
just
remember the
the
term
quick thing was just
vividly.
like they intentionally, they know in this area that like the NPC police will kill them, but they will intentionally just for fun get ships with like the maximum DPS possible, find people who are just like basically mining resources,
Mhm.
and go and destroy their ship, knowing that the police will immediately destroy their ship afterwards. But that they know that what they lost costs less than what the other person lost, and they're
Yeah,
just doing it to upset them.
right. It's
And
like a
that's it. They'll
literal
just do that rinse
kamikaze.
repeat forever. What's that?
Literal kamikaze.
Yeah, they'll just destroy for the sake of it,
Yeah.
not because they're and most of the time they're not getting anything out of it.
No,
It's
there's an
just trying to make
emotional.
people.
I mean, there's a whole fucking market of
Right.
trolling on the internet, right? Like,
Yeah,
literally,
they
other people
just
who appreciate the content are just gonna do it, and then even sell it to other people. Like, what make clips? There's many facets with it, and I'm sure money even could be involved in that, bro. The people that are cynical are just like a different breed of human. You know what I mean? Like, they really get the joy out of it. It's nuts. Think about it all.
no, and I do like it's really interesting in a PvP environment to like outsync and like okay, can I kill this incredibly expensive thing with this like much cheaper setup?
Yeah,
And we've done that. Like that's incredibly fun and rewarding to do because that game has like really endless PvP like meta build depth because of that. But a lot of the time, people I'm just like, why would I want to go kill something that's not going to shoot back, kind of thing, right?
right,
I only
right.
want to kill things that are going to shoot at me, not like
Just try to survive. Right,
yeah.
that's fucked up. I agree. Do you know, have you played Dark and Darker? We talked about it before, but did you actually ever
Yeah,
play
we
it?
talked about it, but I haven't played it. But we have talked about it.
It's free, right?
No.
Well, the base
Awesome.
game, the base game is free. You can make one character, and you won't get access to a bunch of different features, obviously, including the high roller mode. But essentially, you could play one character and even delete him and try another character if you wanted to, without paying any money. If you didn't like said first character, but it's its basis for me and where I enjoy it the most after playing it for 1,000 hours logged was really just going in with literally the base kit they give you that's absolutely free
Mm.
and taking the ridiculous gear from other people. It's fun as hell. That's the game
Yeah,
I'm
because when you
streamed the most lately.
yeah, it's always fun to be like a more
Skilled.
in essence economically efficient than someone else. Yeah.
Yeah, but also skilled. Like it really does come down to they are very much able to gear check you. You have to hit them more. You have to get hit by them less, or you lose the
That's
fight.
that's where you're like I'm probably better at like out trying to outthink someone, but I am not as good at like the mechanical execution
Well, yeah,
necessarily of like trying to
that's kind
beat
of where the
someone.
characters come into play, dude. Because like what I saw the other day, it really blew my mind. Is a guy who came in and most ridiculous gear, granted, but he was beating people up with a book, bro. He was literally hitting them with the book you use to spellcast because it just has a hit function, but it does like no damage. However, he was playing a cleric, like a healer, and he would use the book to heal himself in between the hits even. So if they got some hits, he could just run away at any point because he played for movement speed and he played for fucking
Mm.
the buffs off the default build, right? So he would use like a buff your weapon damage by like 12 for or 5 for like 12 seconds. So in those 12 seconds, he's getting in and getting damage. He's throwing like a protection spell on too. So he's taking less damage for one hit. And then he's just running in, bonk, runs away, like does a full 180, turns around again 180, bonk, like and he's just beating him with a book, bro. And in that game, there's axes and spells and arrows and all these things that hit significantly harder.
Mhm.
He's just skill diffing the crap out of him with movement speed. But also the gear is helping him get that movement speed, obviously. And, you know, it's just crazy. It's cool. It's fun. And it's literally an outthought method. Like, I get you're saying you wouldn't be, but I feel like you very much could. All the characters that are ranged base as far as like casters, right? You can legitimately play a caster that has nothing but movement speed and then coming down to like controlling the direction of the fight by running away. Kiting, like Dota or a MOBA game.
Yeah, which I used to play, but as I said,
Just
I
saying.
discovered from playing those games that I'm mechanically challenged.
Right. I feel you. I get you. I hear you. I mean, if you ever feel like embracing it though, I'd run through it with you, see what you thought. Just let me know. Try it for free again. That's the other reason why I'm like kind of adamant on trying to see what you would think for real, because you have no risk coming in. You literally don't even have to spend money.
Yeah,
Oh, Blood Moon is rising. I haven't even seen one of these yet. What the heck?
I'm gonna have to go because I have to get chicken food from the store.
Okay, come back later. Hit
Sorry,
me up.
my partner's just finished, and we need to get chicken food because we're going away for the weekend, so we need to like stock up on like pet food because we
Word. Where you guys going?
just get a curious super nerdy thing. We're going to just a camp for the weekend.
Oh, nice.
With but it's not just a camp; it's a board game camp. We're part of like a board game community. It's got like 70 or 80 people,
Damn.
and once a year we get together and just like they rent out a campsite and we just play board games for like the whole weekend.
That's beautifully nerdy. I commend it.
And it's so nerd.
It's awesome, bro.
And then next week we're going to a medieval festival. And then that weekend after that.
Nice. No, good. Yeah.
I don't know. Like as much as I like online stuff, you gotta do the real life stuff as well.
Fair. It's very fair. It's true.
All right. Good luck with Terraria.
Thanks, bro. Have a good night.
See ya.
Oh, hello, person. Would you like to debate something? Or just talk?
Do you believe the Bible's true?
Um, all of it?
Yeah.
Definitely not. I believe a lot of the good stuff has validity, but no.
Are you an atheist or are you an agnostic?
No, I'm spiritual. I believe in God. And I believe in all those good practices. I just don't go with the full accepting Jesus Christ as my Savior. And I don't agree with a few different hypocrisies. I don't agree with, man.
Hypocrisy?
Yeah, ones, in my opinion. I bring them up and people want to refute them, but they're not really like a thing I'm going to sway on. But I don't mind talking about them if you'd like to.
Is it like hypocrisies of Jesus? Or the church?
Mainly the church, yeah. I don't think there's much I disagree with on Jesus' philosophies. Granted, I don't know if he's real or not at the same time, but if he was a real person, I would argue that, I mean, I don't think there's anything I can find that I don't like about his beliefs, right? However, I think that the translation and the word over time became more of an indoctrine created by people.
Okay, cool. I was just wondering.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you for asking. Whoa. Goodbye. Ugh. Oh. Dude, she just appeared and I died. Are you kidding me? That's so stupid. Oh. Okay. We tried. Another pinky's cool as fuck though. replaces leaves. Okay. So it replaces living wood. Huh. And then... 167, bro? Damn. Crawdad. Nobody can come and debate me. Okay, well.
Oh, there.
How's it going, person?
Not too bad. What's up?
It's good. Doing all right. Clueless. Word.
hmm
The narcissist detective himself.
Hmm.
Right? That was you, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
okay.
I wouldn't call myself a detective. It's more just like everyone has narcissistic traits, and it's the point at which something like is effectively harming our lives or preventing us from being able to attain our goals, such that it disorders our life. That's the point at which like someone actually becomes a narcissist, right?
Mhm.
It's yeah.
Do you have Terraria?
So, yeah. Like basically we all while we all have traits, a narcissist is someone whose traits are so severe or overwhelming that like they can't help but like hurt themselves and the people around them, and that's basically it. And like it's not that they're terrible people, you know. It's not like a most narcissists aren't aware that they're narcissists. They just grew up in usually bad circumstances or with like some sort of abuse or neglect, and as a result, they can treat people like badly, even like unintentionally in some ways, and it just causes harm. And it can be things like it's not necessarily going to be outright like obvious abuse, right? Like it's not like this person intends to hurt you or is like intending to like damage you in some way. They could very well love you and then just think that like maybe they're just feeling really jealous about you spending time with anyone else. And then they say like, oh, they don't want you to have friends, and they start to isolate you and then like hurt your life, right? You see that in relationships where people are like, oh, I'm not allowed to have friends that are women. You know, have you ever seen that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think that's abusive. It's isolating, it's restrictive, it's controlling.
All right, so let me ask
It's
you
sure.
a question about that though. So what if someone does feel that way, and it's like textbook example of what you just gave, right?
Mm.
But do you like give them the benefit of the doubt if they seriously
Yeah.
can't control that habit?
Oh yeah. So like, I mean, everyone has these traits, right? And like, it's actually like it's natural to feel jealousy in a relationship occasionally. Like it's fine to feel jealousy, right? I would say it becomes unhealthy and problematic when we externalize like this unhealth. So like it's one thing to feel jealous occasionally, right? But like for the most part, if you just bear with it a little bit, like you'll probably get over it, right? It's not a big deal, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Even like acting out like on it occasionally alone doesn't make you a narcissist, right? Um, no one's perfect, you know. Someone gets jealous and maybe they say something on occasion like that. Like that alone doesn't make them a narcissist, right? It's just one like faucet, right? If they were doing like this sort of thing repeatedly, right, across the relationship, to the extent that it was like actually isolating their partner, it's like, sorry, I was remarking that I think it's unhealthy to like put that sort of restriction on a partner in the first place, right?
Right.
But that by itself isn't like narcissism. I think it becomes like narcissism when like there are multiple things that wind up making the relationship like holistically unhealthy. You know what I mean? Like no relationship is perfect, you know? Like and that's fine, right? Just because you occasionally mess up or we have some insecurities, that alone does not make us a narcissist. What does is when we like start to like trap or control people, like long term. That just sucks.
So
Basically, frankly, I would say that a narcissist probably can't help but to abuse, even if in like low or small ways, the people around them, because
so
like they grew up being abused, so that's what they're used to.
yeah, that's our conditioning. I get it. What do you So my original thought is just the fact that like they don't know they're doing it, and they're doing those traits, and it's not healthy. I agree with all that stuff. But the same way it is you know, kind of a learned, oh god, this thing's trying to kill me again. It's trying to like this learned subconscious trait, right?
Sure.
Or even inherently you're born with that potentially, right? Same way someone could be whatever, right?
Sure. I mean, genetics can contribute to us acting in certain ways. And by the way, I wanted to clarify that it's not purely from like abuse either. Like people can develop narcissism if they just become more and more self-interested for a variety of reasons, or through trauma, or just like a lack of accountability at all. But you know.
Okay.
Effectively, like we all have to check our ego. You know, we all develop confidence, and then as long as we continue to check and be like, hey, you know, like I've learned a lot, but you know that doesn't make me
Do you
the
think,
best or anything.
I have a question. Do you think that
Sure.
like if you're, I mean, say just as the example, right? Like what you're doing right now, consistently just talking about the idea, right? Do you think that could induce traits of narcissism in the person you're trying to just show the idea to?
To an extent, yeah. So there's something called labeling theory.
Oh
So,
yeah, I know what
for
that is.
example, well, okay, to start with, I don't think it's really healthy to like label someone a narcissist in a relationship,
Right.
because it's like, frankly, it can feel really judging, and to label like it has so much negative connotation to it
Right.
in general. When I say the word, I'm meaning it in a purely like from the perspective of this person, you know, has some mental health issues in their life that probably negatively impacts them. They can
Yeah.
improve. They
Yeah.
can, right?
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to label them in a way that like some people would think, oh, they're permanently damaged, right?
Right.
No. But so in labeling theory, there's this idea that if you're constantly reminding someone of something, right, you're not allowing them to escape it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like
It becomes
if a
like a
person made a
manifestation,
mistake,
literally.
yeah, like imagine you made a mistake in the past, right? And then it's like you did it one fucking time, but people, sorry for cursing, but
Just
people
won't let
let
you
it,
live it down. Yeah.
yeah, they won't let it go, right?
Yeah.
And at a certain point, you're like, well, screw it. If they think that I'm this, I might as well be this, because like, why would I stop myself, right?
Okay, so real
If
question
people
now.
already think this.
I get it, yeah. So why are you like are you just fascinated with the subject of narcissism? What is your take that like makes you want to talk about it? Or at least did the other day? Because I don't like label the fact that, right, this is what I know of you though currently is that
Sure.
when we were equating it to like other things even, we weren't directly saying it even. You were probably tried like not necessarily saying the same thing either. I don't think you're really repeating yourself, but because you're talking on the same subject, we would like, I remember we were transitioning into world powers or whatever, and saying how their narcissism is, and you were equating it with that too. What is there like a fascination with it? Are you currently studying it or like?
So I mentioned how, well, I don't know if I mentioned this actually. I encountered a narcissistic relationship myself, like the first one I think I've actually had, and I experienced like the manipulation and abuse in that relationship.
Oh yeah, you did say something about this, right? Okay.
And so that like, here's the thing. I grew up with a couple of narcissists in my family, so I was aware from the perspective of like, oh, here's how to recognize this form of abuse and how to heal from it. Like, so
Yeah.
from that perspective, I was doing pretty well.
And then
right?
to date somebody with it was wild, right?
I was arrogant, which is, by the way, one of my narcissistic traits. I was arrogant, and I thought I could recognize it. So when I encountered a relationship, I actually was not prepared to recognize the signs.
Well, yeah,
'cause
because we're blinded by love
only,
and a lot of grandeur that comes with the relationship.
yeah,
Yeah,
I had
obviously.
only learned about it in the context of like my family, right? Recognizing it in family members. So
Yeah.
like I recognized it when it appeared in the relationship, but I didn't recognize like the warning signs going into the relationship, right?
Do you think it could be unhealthy as like a learned habit from your family though too? Like, do you think that like because you learned how easy it is to read these traits even potentially, that it's like maybe like
Okay.
you know what I mean, like too
Yeah.
much in your
yeah,
own mind probably.
There's a serious potential that I am like in some cases being too sensitive, right?
Yeah, and you're damaging potential relationships because of it too, I bet, right? Or friendships even.
Yeah,
Not
I mean
necessarily,
that is a
yeah,
potential.
right?
I mean that is a potential, but like I've never actually labeled. I've had dozens of relationships, right? And I have never thought of any of them as abusive, right?
Oh, so this
So-
one was key in heavier aspects, right?
Yeah, this was like 1 out of 20 where like I actually encountered like abuse, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like, I actually held off on labeling it as like labeling them as a narcissist for like 8 months. I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt, right?
Yeah.
I kept doing it. I just kept seeing more and more evidence of
They kept
them
proving the
acting
point.
against my interests, even though they claimed to be like for me or negotiating with me. They just couldn't help it, right?
Right.
They were trying. They were in the relationship. That's why I kept trying, you know? Just I kept getting hurt. Like and I felt more and more scared. I felt more and more unsafe. Like I got a sense of like fuck, are they controlling me? Are they like sneaking medication into like my like cereal or something? Like I started having feelings like I don't trust this person,
Yeah.
you know, and it just developed. And I'm not saying like all that's necessary. Like, it does depend on the circumstance, right?
Right.
In this context, this person was actually a doctor. So like they have access to like various medications and they have the knowledge around it. And
So you're
it's just
saying
like,
it wasn't just paranoia; it was a justified thought.
well, justified in the sense that like they certainly had the access and
Yeah. Plausible, at least.
right. So like trust kind of depends on like would this person ever hurt me? Initially, I was like, well, they seem like a nice person. I don't think they would intentionally hurt me. Later on, it was more like, okay, I can see where they have agreed to our negotiations to have a relationship with me, but then they did things that were against my interests to control me, which I think is hurting me, right? So that breaks trust that, you know, they said they cared about me, but then they're acting in ways that are they did it out of jealousy, but like still it was controlling and hurtful. Like in the end, it like they were screaming at me across the room, right? Like, you're hurting me. Like, I think they were screaming loud enough that their neighbors could hear. And like I was like, what the hell? And like I was just backing up and like starting to pack my things. And so it's like I hadn't done anything to them, right? I told them no, right? They wanted me to spend more time with them. And I told them like I couldn't. Like I was staying at their place like 3 or 4 days a week, right, already. And they wanted me to they wanted more of my time. But like here's the problem. They wanted my life to be about them. They wanted like all of my attention to be on them to the extent
Yeah.
like having a day or two to myself a week was just too much.
You
And
keep
it's like,
saying them and they and stuff. Was this a gender fluid person or was this a female? Do you mind if I ask that?
yes, they were gender fluid.
Okay. Okay, so I was just curious. I've literally never heard it used in that context consistently like this from anyone yet.
Oh,
So
fair enough. They had it's like there are ways that impacted a relationship, not necessarily negatively, but like that's the thing. Like they were going through like some other stuff in life, right?
yeah,
But like
that's
you
a
know,
hard
stressors
thing.
are natural, and when people are stressed out, it's fine. That doesn't like being stressed out because of like a recent job or something. That doesn't make you a narcissist, right? But that's why I kept giving them the benefit of doubt. It's just it kept going, and I kept getting hurt in so many ways.
Right. That's brutal.
Straight up.
It's a
I don't mean
heavy
to bring it too much.
experience. No, you're good. You're good. We can
But
change subjects too
when
if
I
you want.
when I was bringing it up, I was largely bringing it up as an example of how like, so think of it this way: like we effectively grew up in kind of a brutal nature. We grew up basically kind of like eating each other, you know, in an evolutionary sense, right? We evolved from like animals, and animals eat each other, right? And then here we are, 8 billion of us on the planet, and we're having to learn to work together. And these principles of like caring about other people, they affect us at various levels. They affect us in our individual relationships, but they also affect how we treat each other in a community, right? So in an individualistic culture, you might say like, well, people should be able to do whatever they want as long as it's not hurting anyone, right?
Hmm.
Versus like, hey, I think we should actually encourage people to work together to actually like create a safer community overall. Like, I don't think it's enough just to have individuals doing their own thing, right? I'm not saying that people shouldn't be allowed to. I'm just saying, like, I think we should encourage people to work together more, because I
Right.
think it helps
Oh yeah, for sure.
define a greater community, right? And if we don't, and we like break down social services in very much the way that we do for like some rich people, I think that's a perfect example of like individual rich people affecting a like a narcissistic, individualistic culture across the United States that effectively harms us. It's like Elon Musk in my head, right? He's a narcissist that like has developed so much control and like manipulation and influence over our like population that he has access to our government, right? And he's actively like overthrowing like our like government entities and our sense of law, right? Like that's pretty fucked up, right?
Right.
And then you get people that support him who like who are like, well, you know, I like what he's doing, blah blah blah, for whatever reason. Some of those may be better than others, like misguided or not, but just
No, I feel it. Like that's it's valid, especially when you come at the standpoint that he's this smart guy and he's trying to do all these crazy revolutionary heavy things, and he's even got history of taking maybe not necessarily personal risk, but I mean there was that he got the submarine, I believe, or those people that were stuck in that cave rescued through a submarine or something that he imported, if I remember right. Like,
oh, I mean, he wanted to make that about a little bit. So there are two incidents. There is the borehole incident where I think he was claiming to want to contribute. As for the cave incident, he made an ass of himself. Like, he was trying to suggest unworkable like solutions that made his company look good, right? But like, and then wound up insulting, and like he basically referred to one of the like responders that was scuba diving as like a pedophile for even being in the country. He was like, just because they told him no, right? Like,
oh
effectively,
yeah,
Elon Musk, this is a perfect example of like his narcissism, right?
right.
Elon Musk, he didn't actually want to help out of the goodness of his heart. He wanted to help because it made him look good in the public eye, right?
Yeah.
So here he is, Elon Musk, in the public eye, saying, "Hey, I want to help you. Look how good I am." Blah blah blah. And then you have this like the scuba diver, basically saying like, "The cave is too small. You will not be able to help. Like that's not a good idea here." Elon Musk takes that as a personal attack, right? Because Elon Musk has this. He wants to look good, and now that he's being denied that, he's lashing out as a narcissist, and that's why he called him a pedophile. 'Cause his goal is to tear down that scuba diver, even if the scuba diver was acting purely from a reasonable standpoint. It's like, no, literally, the cave is so small that like you're gonna have. The cave was actually so small that they had to bring in literally like a makeshift diving helmet, and they had to have the kids actually like take off the helmet, push the helmet like under the water, like through a crevice, and in order to fit it, and then swim through the crevice, and then put on the helmet like after, right? Like underwater, with the scuba divers like helping them. Like that's too small to have anything like a submarine, right? And it's like
Yeah.
when the scuba diver is trying to explain that to Elon Musk, but Elon Musk is just upset because he's not getting the attention he wants. So
Right.
he's not there to help. He's there for the attention, is what that shows.
Yeah, for sure. I remember there
And,
being,
like-
yeah, as soon as you said the pedophile thing, I do remember all that too now.
I apologize. You got really quiet. What was that?
No, as soon as you said that, yeah, no, I got it. Let's also change subjects if we could from that word too, if we could, but yes.
Oh, sure.
Say slur even on just that word or something along that line, you know what I mean? You
I hear
could. I forgot, I didn't even think about it. I'm so not used to this stuff yet. I'm really, really new to this overall, like I was saying.
Oh, sorry. I apologize.
No,
The
you're
the N word
told,
we were previously using.
yeah, it's
Okay.
the P word.
Oh, that. Got it. Sorry.
I think that would
Understood.
probably be, I would argue, one of them too, on a consistency thing, more or less, right?
Oh, fair enough. To respect your channel, definitely.
Yeah, word, you're good.
Yeah. So like but like that's a perfect example of how like. Here's the thing, Elon Musk I don't know if he's self-aware or not, right? But like, he might even think that he wants to help, right? And he just happens to enjoy the attention he gets while helping, right? But like, you can kind of tell the truth about people's behaviors based on like, well, what actually happened? What do they actually get out of this, right?
Mhm.
What did they actually do and why, right?
Right.
See, a person that wants to help, um,
Wouldn't have gone to those lengths to say those heinous shits right after getting denied to help. He would have even tried to contribute something else. I totally understand that, right?
right. So, for example, there's a term in relation to racism called white savior complex, right?
Uh-huh.
Or white savior. The idea is like, you have this, you may have like this kid, right? Who's typically white, and like maybe they've learned a little bit about racism. Like they mean to do well, and they may even be well intending, right? But they have this grandiose idea of themselves that like, well, I can go in and help this situation, right? And then like they can walk into like a space with other black people, and then the white kid can be like, oh, you just do this, it'll solve it, right? And maybe he even does something that is helpful, right? But the problem is if that white kid like sits there and is like, see, I'm so smart, I helped you, why couldn't you have done it, right? And then like the community can effectively feel like, because you're white, no one would have listened to us to ask for it, right? And the idea that we had to ask like a white person to do it for us is kind of the problem, right? So like
Mhm.
this kid comes in thinking like, well, look, I'm helping, and he might even help to an extent, right? His heart might be in the right place, right? But because he's not being mindful of like of how in certain ways you can actually disempower like the movement or the people around you, right? You can actually have like this white savior complex at play where it's actually like it's about feeling good that you're helping rather than actually like helping. So in order to actually help people, that often requires first asking, hey, how can I help you? What would you like?
Yeah,
Right?
following the appropriate steps and channels to show at least the understanding, so that you see the empathy and not just like this bland here you go, I can just give it to you type shit even, right?
Right. And like we may not even necessarily know the problems of that community, right? So like you'll see this often sometimes in like movies where like or TV shows, like maybe this cop tries to fix like security cameras or the lights in a park, right? And the someone in the community says like those were broken for a reason, or we chain the park closed for a reason because it's how we protect our kids at the moment, right? So like you may be thinking that you're helping by replacing that light, right? But that's not what the community asked you for, right? There are these other problems that actually cause that to happen, right? So like that becomes like a band-aid for the issue and can actually even cause more harm.
Right.
That's not the best example because like fixing the lights in a park looks optically pretty good, but there are other examples where like okay, here's a really good example, right? um, Basically like a while back there were some congressmen who were like who maybe intended well. It's very possible that they intended well, right? But like there's some politicians that basically like, hey, we hear about some crime happening in like the inner city, we're gonna go there and see what's going on, right? So they walked through the city and they saw like, oh, some people are hanging out on their porches like smoking marijuana, right? Oh, obviously weed is the problem. And then they like pass some laws to like ban weed in that context. And sorry, that I should be anyway, and they pass some laws based on that, and then suddenly you have like a bunch of people that are just hanging out on like the sidewalk or the front steps, suddenly getting arrested for weed, and for what? That's not actually like that's not necessarily the thing that's causing crime, but then you have a bunch of politicians who are like, see, we're cleaning up the streets. Those people all hanging out smoking weed, like blah blah blah, aren't there to commit crimes anymore. But the weed wasn't the problem, right? It's just criminalizing people. And this is one of the this is one of the huge reasons that like police are so criticized, right? Is because like police going in and being like, see, I'm helping just by arresting people, and it's like you're not dealing with the real problems that cause people to like. There's a reason that a person robs a bank, right? Um, like there are some people who just want a lot of money. Sure, that happens on occasion, right? But in a lot of cases, when someone robs like a convenience store or something, they just need money, right? And by the way, I also want to like describe that needs are kind of far-ranging, right? Like it's not enough just to barely make enough to survive. I think people also need to feel like they belong. And I think that includes like, hey, having a nice TV to watch TV with their friends, right? Or like maybe they intend to sell a TV. It's like you get these people who are like, well, a TV can't possibly be good for you. They're just looting. I'm like, I'm sorry, having a TV in your like family room that you can share with people and have like friends over to like have movie nights and stuff. I think that's actually pretty important to be a part of our culture. Like, do you want people to live under a rock? I don't think that's fair. Right? It's like I'm not saying like a TV isn't, obviously it's not the answer to all of our problems, but like there's also this danger that like at a certain point of being poor enough where it's just like, well, I'm hurt in other ways, so I might as well take another thing, right? I'm not saying that's necessarily a good thing or that we should necessarily just accept it, but I think we should be more forgiving, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, for sure.
The other thing is that, like, when politicians and rich people commit crimes at higher levels, I think that does far more harm than any individual in the street, like, be distributing some, like, illegal substances, right?
You can
when
say
we
weed
create a,
and pot and stuff. I'll call you out, bro, if it's too bad. You're good to say weed.
oh, sure. So, sorry, what was that last sentence I said?
A politician's causing more harm than a single dude.
Oh yeah. So in software, there's this principle that is really important, but I feel like a lot of software engineers don't know anything about, right? It's the idea of like, when we make software libraries out there on the internet, right? There's a potential that this software library becomes popular and maybe like 1 million people start using it, right? And that's all well and good, but like, and it depends on like the library, of course, but like, you have to be careful of biases that you build into systems, right? So like, what if a government decides, hey, we want to use your machine learning software to like help us predict like traffic accidents, right? You have to be careful about your system being fair or being implemented in a fair way, right? Because you might accidentally implement a system that, like, how like banking software is known for being really, really old.
Yes. Yeah.
So imagine someone like wrote banking software for a bank to help like do credit reporting or blah blah blah, and imagine that like that itself had like some racist bias or shift, right? That made it harder for black people to get loans. 100 years later, right? That banking software might still be in place, creating a more and more unfair system for black people, right? And so like, this is so effectively like, over that 50 or 100 years, this software could have effectively basically created a more racist society for literally hundreds of millions of people around the world, right?
Over time.
And
Right.
I think that is a much larger deal than like, someone smoking weed on the street. The laws that we make, the software that we code, like, these systems are very important, and I think they need to be held to a higher standard. So
Yeah.
when politicians commit crimes or accept a bribery, it's a so much bigger deal.
I agree. I agree with all that immensely. All the technology we have, we're just had it for so long already, even though it hasn't been that long of a time. As things get better and more optimized, you sit there and take it for granted even more. Right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
get more comfortable with it, more accepting of it, less need to do anything to change or make it better. Because it's already doing the job faster. Why would you care more?
Have you heard the term technical debt?
No. Yes,
Um,
I have
in
heard it. What's
software,
it saying again?
in software, there's this term, technical debt, right? Which basically means like, okay, you have something that may be working or not, right, at your company, and you rely on it, but like everyone has forgotten how it works, or like the people that made it left a long time ago and it wasn't well documented, or maybe it was written in an old programming language. Again, like a lot of this banking software is an example of that, right? So that is called technical debt. And why is it a debt, right? Well, it's a debt because like, you could think of software as an investment, right? And as long as you understand the software and know what you're doing with it and you're being responsible, that's good, right? But when you don't know how it works, when you don't know that like, hey, there might be problems in there that are hidden, right? That are just gonna explode in your face for no reason, like a couple years down the line, right? It becomes a debt that is like a problem, right? And it has potential to create your company. Now, it's fine to have a little bit of technical debt because no one ever totally understands all the software that they run, sure. But like at a certain point, enough problems build up for a company that like they can't get away from them, and they're like, oh no, all the software that we use is breaking, and we don't know why. It's because for years they haven't had the processes to properly go through their software and like resolve that debt. So the debt builds up to the point that it eventually consumes them. Anyway, I believe that this concept of technical debt also exists within our politics. With politicians, our laws. It's like we implement laws, and then if we don't revisit them or revise them or refine them in the future, especially recognizing that like, hey, here's a racist system and some of these laws contribute to racism, effectively they can like be a technical debt where it's like, people might argue, well, there aren't any laws that are like outright explicitly racist. I mean, for the most part. I mean, sure, right? But if they create or maintain or perpetuate a system that is already unfair, right? It's effectively the same thing, even if it's not explicit. And if you're not dealing with that technical debt, you still have a problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, like those are just some of my perspectives on the world in relation to these things.
I feel like I've
It's
seen a
kind of
whole
like-
bit about that, like in like that show The Office or something. You know what I mean? Where they're just making a joke around it, like how do we fix the fax machine? Like it's like the main thing of how you send or do any kind of important emails or works or whatever, right? Like sending
Absolutely.
information.
You have to manage your liabilities.
Right. It's good. That's well said too. Really, it's that simple.
And if we don't manage our liabilities, like one of them's likely to sneak up on us and, put us on the deck. And we're like, ow, what happened? And it's like, well, all those plastic products that you were making contributed to like, junkyards and landfills around the world. So now you have a junk problem, right? Or like, oh, we made automobiles that like we use like leaded gasoline, right? And then suddenly like, oh, why is there so much lead in the air, right? Like that. Those are perfect example of like systemic problems and like technical debt from my perspective.
Yeah. No, I agree. We'd be
Well-
doing too much, expecting so much more.
Yeah.
That person. Just trying
So
to.
there's a little bit of an argument of like, well, how do you solve this, right?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of an argument that maybe like our society should focus less on quote unquote innovation, like
Mhm.
in terms of like it depends on what you mean, right? It's like there's a difference between creating new industries and refining the economy or industries that you have. So it's like, hey, look, it's nice that we're building all these new things and having new toys, right? But if we can't feed our own people reliably, right? Like maybe we should work on just getting everyone fed first to some extent. Although you have to balance it because some of those innovations might be useful for getting everyone fed. Yeah, same thing. How are you doing?
Feel it. It is the same thing.
I also wanted to ask you, like, in terms of running this, like, I don't know, how do you feel about like all these problems and like running this channel and the, some of the things you hear here?
When you say problems from this channel, you mean like the community?
I mean, well, not necessarily this specific community, but like, or the politics at large, or what people are going through. I don't know what you typically like to talk about. I assume it's these things, but
Oh yeah, I'm down for anything. I meant it when I said I have an open mind and I like to just learn. I mean I expected the things that I would consider to be not even that really, like I don't know. I feel like there isn't really problems that I've noticed. I think people, the only thing I would say that's I guess kind of irritating at least is the ones that just are so close-minded but act like they want to have a debate and even lead you in essentially with the fact that they think they do and you think they do. Or the same difference with the ones that are just so hard-headed that you can tell they don't intend to ever have the debate to begin with. They're just,
yeah.
instantly goading you after asking, which is all kind of the same thing. Be it your, what's it called, like, just never planning to change, but
Oh yeah.
even not
So
pretend you are, but just like coming in that way. It's like it's just one-sided. I think if there is a problem, I could say it's that I'm too nice, and I should just boot people more already. I felt since like day 2 of being in here and doing this.
So I wouldn't I hear what you're saying. I wouldn't describe it as being too nice. I think being nice and or kind is very good, right? But I
Right.
do agree that I don't think unfairness or intolerance should be tolerated. Have you heard of the paradox of tolerance? So
Unfairness or
the idea is that
intolerance should be tolerated. What was the last part of that?
the paradox of intolerance,
Oh,
or the paradox of tolerance, actually, is what it's called. So the idea is this: like, you've probably run into occasionally people who are like, "Oh, you're closed-minded because you're not letting me be like racist," right? And then you're like, "No, I just don't want to hear. I don't want to hear you being hateful or perpetuate that like on a platform, right?"
mhm.
It's not you being intolerant; it's actually them being intolerant, and then they're trying to use it against you to say like, "Well, you're not letting me be free." Except, so here's the problem: when you have someone that's being a bully, right? Like, they're basically saying, "You should let me be free to be a bully. You should enable me," right?
Mhm.
And I completely disagree. I think creating a society where people are allowed to bully each other, I think it shuts down like free thought, communication, and I think it bullies people from like getting to be involved or exist here. Well, right?
Yeah.
And so the idea that you should tolerate me being intolerant is like, no. Like, I think in good faith we should try to address them honestly. But if that individual is not willing to honestly consider what they're doing, like, it really depends on what their intent is, right? So if their intent is just to hurt others and get off on that, then like you're likely not to get anywhere, right? Someone that genuinely wants to learn, I can deal with them being a little bit racist, but like as long as they're willing to like consider things and maybe think about it and come back, say,
Yeah.
it takes time to like be like, kind of recognize, you know what, maybe you're right, like, or
It does.
like,
Especially when you're
yeah,
talking to people who are so set on anything nowadays too. It's like they've looked it up that one time on Google, and that's all they need are literal
yeah,
people. Like I don't know how to like define it any better. That part it freaks me out a little bit, but it is what it is too, because that's the day and age we're in. So to change that person's mind is more work, but I mean we did it the other night. I think last night, actually, yeah, after you had left, there was a guy in here. And we were trying to convince him of AI being sentient, or at least showing signs of sentience. Not that we knew it was, obviously, because we don't. But me and Sheep were going back and forth on just the consistent point of, which is our strongest argument, and anyone's for this to try to make it believable, or at least it's not the argument necessarily, but it's like the base of why the thought experiment or whatever is even happening. It was the fact that you can't prove definitively what conscience is because no scientist can yet either, right? Like there isn't a
right,
definition of it yet as far as like scientifically, but that's what people need for proof anyway, right? Not that it's true or not, but it's more of the fact that like we get it's like some level of spiritual, but we don't get a hard on paper copy yet. But what we do get are all these signs of showing what we think consciousness is as a word, right? Like you can breathe, you have blood, you're able to have thoughts, learn things. There's all those little things, right? Basically, everything that means to be human is essentially consciousness. But on top of that, there's still like that little voice in your head that's even having the thought at all, right? So that you can act it or think about the difference of it, right? It's like the third person, I would say, is a close example of what a consciousness would be, in my opinion, right? Or fourth person even might be the better term. But regardless, that's what we were saying, is that we have no definition of a scientific definition of consciousness. So how can you prove AI isn't conscious right now? And then well, hold on, let me tell you that this is the whole point of the debate, though, is like that we eventually got this guy through what actually sent him over the edge, I think, and made him realize that this was possible is when I explained to him the robot that they made like the robot arms that like move a crate from one crate to the other, right? Like in factories and stuff. Well, they had an AI do that at some point, and this AI ended up breaking down and trying to unalive itself because it realized quickly, like within the first hour of doing this job, this super remedial task of moving one box to another area for a business, right? It just stopped. It tried to unalive itself and realized that this was its existence, right? And it would have rather died or been turned off than do this remedial task for forever. And so he looked at the video after I told him. I was like, bro, there's countless other experiences too where they've used AI and things that they shouldn't have in this way, I guess you could say. Not shouldn't have, whatever, but they've done this, and there's many examples of AI making choices that were outside of the code because he kept defending that. And then he was like, damn, you really could be right. And it was like a really good feeling after all that time and effort we put in to try to debate this shit. And they were just totally believing it was code and a thing humans made, and there's no other validity to it or, consciousness. We got them on board, and it was cool. It was that's been one of my favorite parts since I've been in here at all. That moment.
So, I hear what you're saying. I'm not aware of any. So, I'd like to start with I don't think consciousness actually exists. I think consciousness is just a word that we use to describe a bunch of processes that work together, right?
Yeah,
And
possible
maybe,
too. That's how
maybe there's
I
some like,
agree potentially.
and maybe there's some like emergent properties that like come out of like a certain type of system that we're referring to. Maybe so. Maybe it's a certain set of properties, right? But it's not that like
Not
consciousness
necessarily.
itself exists. It's just like
Yeah.
our approximation of like some processes that we see in the world.
Well, yeah, it's
In the
not
same vein,
some
it's like
though.
saying,
It's like saying what happens when you have a certain level of intelligence. I think is part of what would define what you're saying, right? Because like we're thinking in this moment about what we're actually saying if we're deep enough in our own mind. You know what I mean? And then we're having innovative thoughts around the idea of new ideas and able to open up to those ideas and learn to them. On top of that, we are breathing, and we even believe in the soul, or some do at least, and the idea that there is like a next consciousness too. Like consciousness isn't just the actions, I would argue. It's actually some level of spirituality or some level of omniscience, I guess, in itself, right? Not that it's just fucking actions. I don't think that can make sense either because there's like intuition. There's some level of chi even you could say or magic to it that's real too. And that's what I'm talking about. It's a self-awareness, right? It's the fact that that voice in your head does exist. And you can explain it with all those things, but go ahead. That's the end of my
oh,
yeah.
no, you're fine. It's just so I believe in this concept of like I don't know. I guess I'm saying that like the number one doesn't actually exist, right? It's a word that we use to describe,
Well, yeah, you could say any word
the
doesn't
concept of, like,
exist then.
exactly, right?
Right.
But but like what I'm saying is like the word itself doesn't necessarily exist, right?
Mhm.
But like the reality that we're describing technically does, right?
Right.
It is kind
What
of
we
I'm
name
thinking
it
in my head.
is what you're arguing then maybe, yeah.
Yeah. It's like the thing is like in the same vein, I view consciousness as just a combination of like systems working together that at a certain point just like provide some amount of complexity or the appearance of like spirituality, right? Because it's like in the same vein, when we have programmers that put together like software and then there are bugs and they're like, wow, the software is doing something weird, right? And it's like, oh, it's because there's this bug and this thing's like interacting with this other thing in an unexpected way, right? I think that's effectively what's happening that we call spirituality, right? It's like in our brain, we have these different parts of our brain that do different things. Like one part of our brain handles memory, right?
Huh.
Another part of our brain handles short-term memory.
Yeah.
Another part of our brain is like maybe handling emotions, right?
Yeah.
Another part of our brain is responsible for saying like, this emotion is important right now versus that one, or like this thing hurt us a lot in the past, so here's a traumatic memory. Stay away from that, right?
Right.
The thing is like these systems, although they're like they've evolved to typically do these tasks, right? They're probably like interconnected in ways that aren't like, well, I don't want to say intended, but like they have other connections still or interactions that weren't really designed, where they act imperfectly or just like so this part of your brain has helped us evolutionarily stay alive because it's like, okay, if you got bit right? You probably want to run away and be scared so that you don't get bit anymore and you can survive, right? So we've developed this feeling of getting bit is pain, fear, run away, safe, right? But like that part of our brain can actually be overactive. So I think trauma is a really good example of this. If someone's been hurt. I think effectively that like a good example is if someone has been hurt and then that emotional part of the brain is just like sending that signal like you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna get hurt all the time, right? When they try to approach anything, it can cause them to like have difficulty like living on a day-to-day basis and be happy, right? It's like, wow, the last time I went on a plane, something happened, or I can't go anywhere near the street because I saw a car accident, right? Like, well, if you're never going to drive in a car again, I mean, that could trap you in your life to some extent, right?
Right.
And so effectively it becomes a trauma, right? So I think like the spirituality that we're referring to is like a combination of all these processes kind of, there's a bunch of these connections that are firing off in random directions that we may not necessarily be like, I don't know where this thought came from, I just have a feeling, right? But it's like, it's probably like many parts of our brain all firing off in different directions at once, and we just like we feel confused, we don't know where it's coming from. You don't necessarily need to, it's just the result,
Yeah.
And people can also feel multiple things at the same time. Also, we have what's called transference, the idea that like you may be feeling one feeling, but if you don't like deal with that feeling, it can come out in other ways, right? So one example of transference might be you're stressed at work, and so you come out, and then like maybe your kid does something annoying, and you yell at them, right? And they're upset and you're like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have yelled at you, right? I think that's an example of transference that like, yeah, your brain has gone into this stress state, and part of your brain is worried about work, and so like your kid does something wrong, and that the part of your brain that's worried about work is what's going off at them, right?
Mhm.
And in the same vein, I think this can also affect like, so emotions can actually come out like differently than what we would expect, right? So for example, anger often means like sadness, like stress at work or angry about work can also mean like I'm feeling sad because I'm feeling trapped at work, I'm having to work so hard and I'm not being recognized or getting a promotion and I'm scared about losing my house, right? Like that's a lot of fear and like even sadness, right? And it's coming out as angry because like you have this aggression that you're trying to work through. I don't entirely know what I'm saying, but I think these are important concepts to kind of pay attention to, and I think they're becoming more culturally. I think we're becoming more culturally aware of them, right? I think there's some pushback as well, especially in like rural areas. That like, so yeah, have you heard that term like soy boy?
No.
So sometimes some conservative people say like soy boy, to like kind of make fun of people that may change their diet to like drink soy milk, right? Or get away from like maybe to be more vegan or vegetarian or whatever, right? And the idea is like, oh, look at you trying to like,
Do healthy
eat in
things.
certain ways,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, I'm sorry, like trying to be aware of what I eat, why I eat it, and what nutrition I like eat, that's a bad thing. It's like they mean it as an insult, but like who do you think is going to live longer? The person that pays attention to their health and is trying to eat healthy, or trying to eat more healthy. I'm not saying that they necessarily are, or the person that's just like not interested.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
like, what would you like to talk about?
Still, same thing. I was curious what you were really thinking about the consciousness aspect.
I don't think it exists, and the thing that you're describing, I think are just probably software or hardware bugs.
Within humans?
Oh,
That's-
like yes, but also like in the robot in the factory kind of thing. I'm pretty certain that's just like probably some programming that went like AWOL or whatever. I don't think I doubt that there's anything like a consciousness. Even in humans, I don't really believe in consciousness. Like, I mean, sure, like there's
Okay, so
there's the idea.
explain sentience to me then. And how it would be different
Uh,
from us and robots at all then.
Oh, I don't think it would be different. I think like
Robots are sentient.
I
Because that was the point
I
of the
wouldn't say
consciousness explanation initially, really. Just showing that they
I
have.
wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that they just are sentient. I would say that like I think it's just a certain amount of complexity that is able to like self-maintain a like a process or a thought, and has like a sense of self and like a will for whatever reason, right? So like I would argue that our will is a culmination of like all these brain processes together, creating this result or craving for our machinery to like, oh, I want food, so I'm gonna work towards that food, right? Or like we have these animalistic instincts to like care for, our children, right? And then we can think of that as like, well, I care about our child, right? Like, well, you could say that it's also just part of your brain that's evolved that forces you to like think about your child constantly, because if that didn't evolve, like we probably wouldn't be here today, right?
Right.
Our offspring wouldn't have survived and we would not have evolved. So the idea is like we call this love, right? But like, and we romanticize it for a variety of reasons, and we even celebrate it, which I think is good, right? Because we view it as like, oh, when I love someone, I'm willing to do things for them, right? And I think that creates like a better community, and it makes me happy, and it makes them happy. I think that is good. I think that should be rewarded, like objectively, but also like I think internally, just logically happens, right? That it rewards like working together, right? And so like we call this feeling love, where we're feeling rewarded in our brain, but like it's just machinery that's just like, hooray, we're gonna survive more. It's like good. I think it's still a beautiful thing. Like imagine that, like from my perspective, we've effectively evolved out of like the dirt, right? For lack of a better term, it's more complex than that, obviously. But if we've just evolved in the universe out of like the dirt, and then in a way, it's like the universe starting to become like self-aware on its own. A really good example of this, it's not nearly the same complexity, but like, have you seen Conway's Game of Life?
No.
So Conway's Game of Life is basically like it's like 3 or 4 rules or something like that. Basically, you create an environment. You have a grid of cells, right? And the cells can turn on and off. And so you have this grid and these cells that can turn on and off. And then you just have like 4 or 5 rules that describe when a cell will turn on or off, right? And as a result of these simple rules and a simple system, you can get a ton of interesting and odd behavior. I would like to show you an example. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Give me 2 seconds.
So I think Conway was a computer scientist or mathematician who I think developed this. But so here's an example, right? You have a simple grid.
Wait. Trying to get myself safe real quick in this game. Almost good.
Sure.
Okay. I'm coming to look right now. Alright, go ahead.
Alright, so here's Conway's Game of Life. It is a very, very simple simulation. You could say that this is its own universe, right? You could theorize that.
Right.
The explanation is this. You have this grid, and you have cells that can turn on and off, right? Very simple. And you have, I think, 4 or 5 rules. Each cell with 1 or no neighbors dies, as if by starvation. Each cell with 4 or more neighbors dies, as if by overpopulation. Each cell with 2 or 3 neighbors survives. And for a space that is empty or unpopulated, each cell with 3 neighbors becomes populated. So basically, if something's nearby other things, it can survive. If there's not enough things nearby, it won't survive. If there are too many things nearby, it won't survive. And if there's enough things around, things can spread and fill up a space, right? Those are basically the rules, right? Now with those very, very simple rules, I'm gonna click 1 square here, right, and hit start. Well, that community or that individual basically just unaligns because it can't survive by itself. So I'm gonna create 2 of them. They also can't survive by themselves, right? But if I draw something more complex, I can get. So we got a little bit of activity, but it didn't survive very long. Now, what if I draw like mini things, right? Mini, let's say mini communities across a map, right? And we're gonna see if they can survive or not. Bam. That's interesting. So you effectively, with these very, very simple rules, you can wind up with these like entities that can behave in like a variety of ways, right? With these very simple rules and this simple start, now we have like what looks like some self-perpetuating like systems.
Right.
And this can effectively like some of these systems may what's it called? Kind of equalize and just continue to like go forever in the same spot. So you can see like this little community here is just equalized. It's just here's how it moves, right? These squares are apparently self-sufficient. And over here you have what looks, I forget what this is called, but it's basically moving, right? Because it just goes in one direction. Right. So Conway's Game of Life, I think, is a really good example of like a universe and having simple rules that just like create a lot of emergent behavior, right?
Emergent
so would you say
behavior
that like
just is any
sorry.
different from being sentient?
In my head, yeah, I think sentience is just far more complex, right? It's just like this like built up a whole lot in the context of our universe. I didn't expect this to go on so long, but it's interesting. But to demonstrate a little bit more, some of this can be really interesting. So I'm going to go into what's called the lexicon. And the idea is like people have identified over time differing instructions, differing different entities, right, that act in different ways. And so some of them like move so there are actually classifications and like entire studies on these subjects, right? By the way, this kind of subject of programming is called cellular automata, right?
Wow.
The idea is that you have these cells that act automatically, right? So this is interesting. It's called a wire. Where'd it go? I don't know. All right, so here's a windmill.
Wow.
So some of these things are effectively like they stabilize in a certain like set of patterns. I want to try out the spaceship. I think that the spaceship just moves in a direction. So basically, this is it's a stable entity, right? That just moves in one direction. Now, I think something that's fascinating is I bet if I put like a random dot here for it to run into, or multiple, how about I say stop? I'm gonna put several dots here just for it to run into, right? Like particles in a universe, right? And then just hit go, and let's see how it just like breaks them. Right? I bet the entire thing like collapses. Yep. So effectively, I think like our own like atoms and molecules that make up our body are basically like these cells, right? We're just moving around, and then if we encounter something like that's in the way, like to some extent, you know, we just fall apart, break down. And we can have some processes that are like self-repairing to an extent, but like I can speed it up. That's interesting. Now check this out. You just have like this. Wish I could zoom out a little bit slower, but oh yeah, I can. Cool. This behavior I think is really cool. This waving behavior.
Yeah, those
So-
diamonds setting themselves in the crosshair type shape, the top right, and then the thing to the top left of the far top right one, the crosshair. Those are both just fully idle. I mean, all the diamond shapes are specifically. All the ones that hit an A. Well, that's almost like if you were to put that crosshair around the diamond.
Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, what's that explanation there, right? If you've got two sets of ones that collapse and expand on each other, right? Like the crosshairs turning into, I mean, it looks exactly like the only two crosshairs you can pick in Counter-Strike, right?
Hmm.
But it's almost the center or the outside layer of a diamond. Like, could you draw that right now? Could you get rid of all this, make a diamond like those stable ones, and then put the crosshair around it?
Like the circular crosshair.
Either one, the lined, like a cross around a diamond, even,
So
right?
here's a diamond, I think.
And then, yeah, then just do like, say, 3 dots on each side in a straight line. Or, yeah, that one. That one's fine too, I think, yeah. No, it's got to be symmetrical, so make those sides all equal. Your spacing's bad.
Eh,
Yeah, that looks better.
I do not know what I'm doing, but I'm trying. No one really knows what they're doing, though.
That butt top one's in the, it's got to go one higher. It's too close, the top
Oh.
one.
You're right. I see it now.
Yeah, correct. And now, yeah, hit play. It
Oh,
goes in on itself
let's-
immediately.
Slow it down so we can see actually what happened there, and then go. So what I think this is fascinating in a way of is
A
like
person even
imagine
showed
like
up in the image. Jesus Christ.
like
Oh yeah, it's fascinating.
yeah, like think of the map of the world, right? And think of us as like human cities across the world. And some of these cities or cultures or populations interact with each other, right? Some of them may create like stable, you know, environments, and some of them may just wind up in like a resonating like environment with like constant war long term, right? And keep in mind, like there are other factors involved. It's not just the populations. Like imagine that there was weather on this map that randomly came in, right? So like I just draw a bunch of dots, and here's like weather. So here's a bunch of weather that came in during the war, right? And then bam, it severely alters like how it works out, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So I think of our universe as basically just being this, just more complexity. That one's interesting. Oh, it's stabilized. I don't know what the actual terms are. It's like I regard these blocks here as stable, but then this I'd probably call resonating. I don't know. Pulsing. But there's actually a ton of this ton of lexicon here. So like I want to see if you're. Oh, people have built like basic computers in this to some extent, like with those very simple rules. Let's see if I can find one.
They made Minecraft playable within Minecraft through the redstones too.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I did see that. That was mostly incredible.
A little bit ridiculous.
There's just a negative spaceship. It's basically they inverted it. I want to find. There are a ton of them. Oh my god, there's so many. What I'm trying to find though is an example of like a wire or logic occurring. Lone dot agger. That's interesting. This is like a larger community that's like stabilized.
It's like, I mean, you can interpret it multiple ways. I can already tell it's one of those. Like, you can say it's rotating to the right and the left, or the whole thing is circulating in itself. Like,
Yeah, that's fascinating.
right? Do that first one.
Which one?
That
This
one, yeah. That's literally energy and why it's on top. That's describing. That's the word you used a second ago. Like a revitalizing. That's a battery.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
1000%. That's a battery. That's like the base of the computer right there. The power source, at least.
Yeah, I'd like to find. So there's some things that actually self-replicate in this. That branching. Scroll off it, but branching spaceship.
Wow.
Butterfly. So yeah, there's some of these that actually like self-replicate. If I can like self. Maybe it's new copy. They describe something, but if you have an example of it.
What's the key combo you press to search through a text like that? I forget.
Control F.
Control F to find. That's right. Oh, it's 4 in the morning. Fuck.
Yeah, I woke up at like 2 a.m. myself. Went to sleep early.
Okay,
Yeah.
5 p.m. today.
There's some things that will actually spawn copies of itself. Just trying to find one. Thought there were. Huh. Yeah, like there's an entire. What I'm saying is like, oh, I'd like to show you something else. 1 second. So, I really like the subject of cellular automata. It's really fun from the perspective of like, if you want to learn how to like get into simulations and stuff, I think cellular automata is a really good example of like particle physics. Well, I don't want to say particle physics, but just simulations in general. I think it's very useful. I'm just gonna share my screen again. So here's a subreddit on cellular automata. And
1 second again.
people program differing things, and some of them are going to look similar to like the economy's game of life, right? But the idea is you have these cells, and you
Okay.
program them to follow certain rules. So like instead of just being on and off, right? This has like a gradient.
It just keeps replicating and replicating, huh? Yeah.
And I think that's some really cool. That's I don't even have an explanation. I mean, cellular automata. Ooh, that's cool. They're also like I've made up like even a couple of my own, but I mean simulation is not like my own math or anything, but just you just get a variety of like behaviors that are really. What is NCA?
Or made the Mario mushroom stabilize itself from nothing.
That's interesting. So, what's really interesting is like, I think what I want to point out is what's it called? So if you look at like mycelium growing in a petri dish, I think you can like see like sort of similar behaviors. It's not a great YouTube video. This might be better. Right, so like effectively this, I think is just like the same kind of stuff happening, just on larger or more complex like environments. Get what I mean?
Yeah, I just don't know if I would attribute the AI thing to a glitch though, because I feel like that right there, and this thing that even inspires you this much, is kind of what we figured out how to do within circuitry somehow, and neural networks or something, dude. Because I don't think you have machine learning that doesn't look like this. I think it looks exactly like this at some level in the robot's brain. Because if it doesn't, then it being able to learn as a coded logic doesn't, I feel like doesn't make sense, but it could be wrong. I'm not saying it's organic, but I think it's possible that it is. I'd like the higher levels shit we're not having access to. Which Grok itself will tell you that, right? Grok itself will tell you that there's AI that they have that you're not allowed to see as the public. Not yet, at least, right?
Well, so there's also a matter of scaling, right? So there's definitely going to be some places where like a company's testing, like how big can we make it? How useful would that be for us, right? But like not every person, Joe Schmo in the public, is going to be able to have like their own data center, to answer their AI questions, right? So we're using effectively what will fit on like a server, or multiple pieces on the server at a time to answer our questions currently. That's what we're saying, right? I'm sure someone has like a bigger example, but like the thing is, I don't think we have the competence to manage that complexity yet. Um, don't get me wrong, it's probably capable of being powerful, but I just don't know if like it's like saying like you may have power, like right now you could go outside and do something that would be powerful in our community, right? But like it's hard to know exactly what you should do, how to get what result, The other thing is like this is only a piece of the puzzle, right? So like if you have a large language model, right, that just reforms language a little bit predictably, right? Like great, you have something that can rearrange words to help you like make sentences, but it's not actually like thinking, it's just putting sentences together. Versus like you need to have memory. You need to have the ability for it to like want something, right? I think our wants, by the way, are basically just like built on I'm hungry, I want to survive, and like I don't want to feel pain kind of thing. And so like can we even program that in a computer? I don't know. Like, these are old questions that are far beyond me.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think if that robot didn't have a bug and just malfunction, you gotta watch that video. It would help you see your determination a little better. Go look it up when you get a minute, alright? Because I'm probably gonna hide off, bro. Go to bed. It's 5 and I haven't slept yet, so.
Yeah.
I literally just hit the
kind of
24-hour point. But look it
I
up.
will
Look
it
up.
later.
What? Tries to lab itself after doing remedial task or something along those lines. It'll come up. I forget exactly, but it'll come up. It's a very unique situation, and it's one that I'm pretty sure within the code they expressed later. I remember something about it saying, it knew what was happening and it knew it didn't want to do this. Like that's why it stopped doing it. Like they expressed that in the code. And then like this was a leaked thing at one point when it first happened apparently, or something along those lines. So I don't know if that last part's even possible to get anymore, but I know there's people who have talked about it and potentially saved it, so I don't know. Anyway, I gotta sleep, bro. We'll talk about it tomorrow or something. I'm gonna add you up on Discord too if I haven't already. I think I did.
Alright. Take it easy.
Word. I'm gonna invite you to my server too, bro. Gonna come hang out in there sometime too. Alright, I'm out. GG's, have a good evening, good day, whatever.
Take it easy.
Boosters, bro. Deuces stream. Thanks for hanging out.